I will hurt you for this.
I am the sword in the darkness.
Lion doesn't concern himself with the opinions of the sheep.
Let me give you some advice, bastard.
Chaos isn't a pit. Chaos is a ladder.
To claim a dragon, you must also be prepared to die.
If Daemon prevails in the Riverlands, I no longer have the numbers to challenge him.
My uncle is a challenge I welcome, if he dares face me.
You have the arrogance of youth. You must see in me a ruler, and the symbols of authority, the shield and the sword.
I must now proceed as if I stand alone.
It is my fault that you have forgotten to fear me.
What is up, everybody? Jeremy Icenfire here, and welcome to the channel. In episode 5, we saw the fallout after the devastating events that took place during the Battle of Rooks Rest, including the incapacitation of Aegon II and the ascension of Aemond One-Eye, along with some very interesting scenes that foreshadow some of the major events that will be playing out over the final 3 episodes in Season 2, including the highly anticipated dragonseed storyline. And now, looking ahead to episode 6, the trailer starts off with an interesting line of dialogue from Rhaenyra, stating that this has never been done before, and that in order to claim a dragon, one must be prepared to die. And although we can't exactly tell who she's speaking to in this scene, it does look like she is still on Dragonstone in her small council chamber, which leads me to believe that this could potentially be her Queensguard member, Sir Steffon Darklyn. In Fire and Blood, Sir Steffon Darklyn is one of the characters that attempts to claim a dragon during the Dragonseed storyline, or the Red Sowing as it's referred to in the book. And after the sacking of Duskendale and the execution of his father, Sir Steffon might have more reason than most to want revenge against the Greens, maybe even enough to grant him courage to try and claim a dragon. Revenge is a powerful motivator after all, with Rhaenyra also stating that she hopes the gods will favor us. So it should be pretty interesting to see how this Dragonseed storyline plays out and which characters attempt to try and claim a dragon. But next, the trailer continues with some dialogue from Sir Crispin Cole stating that if Daemon succeeds in the Riverlands, he will no longer have the numbers to face him. During the Battle of Rooks Rest, the Blacks lost an incredible asset in Meleys and Rhaenys, one of their most experienced duos of Dragon and Dragon Rider, but the Greens themselves were not without loss as well. As we heard in episode 5, Sir Crispin stated that they lost over 900 men during the Battle of Rooks Rest, which is definitely leaving some of their forces a little bit depleted as well. And we also see some interesting shots of Daemon seemingly still at Harrenhal heading down to the Weirwood Tree. And if we look at some of the previous trailers for House of the Dragon Season 2, we did see one scene of Daemon seemingly executing someone next to the Weirwood Tree at Harrenhal. And after the events of episode 5, with the Blackwoods and Bracken's rivalry reaching a boiling point, I think this could potentially be Sir Willem Blackwood that Daemon might be getting ready to execute, most likely in an attempt to win the rest of the Riverlords to his side. As we saw in episode 5, the Riverlords were very displeased in how the Blackwoods handled the Brackens. After all, Daemon clearly did state to Sir Willem that the crown cannot be seen doing certain things, and Sir Willem chose to fly the Targaryen banner into battle anyway. So I get the feeling Sir Willem's head might be on the chopping block here. And hopefully, if nothing else, episode 6 will mark the end of Daemon's Harrenhal DMT trip. As interesting as the Daemon and Alicent scenes have been during the first few episodes, it does feel like it is starting to drag on a little bit too long now. But next, we get a very interesting line from Aemond speaking to Crispin, stating that his uncle is a challenge that he welcomes, if he dares face him, which of course is a massive foreshadowing of the battle above the God's Eye. A battle that will most likely not be taking place until Season 3 or maybe even Season 4. But after seeing how well they executed the dragon combat during the Battle of Rooks Rest, I cannot wait to see what they have in store for the battle above the God's Eye. That will most likely be the most insane episode in the entire series. But next, we get a very interesting scene between Alicent and Aemond, with Alicent stating that he has the arrogance of youth, while asking him, have the indignities of your childhood not yet sufficiently been avenged? And given Alicent's tone, not only in episode 5 but in the trailer here, it seems like she definitely knows Aemond had some sort of hand in what befell Aegon at Rooks Rest. We also see what appears to be Aegon waking up from his coma-like state with none other than Aemond there to greet him. And this scene definitely jumped out when watching the trailer, After the events of Rook's Rest and Aemon seemingly blasting his brother out of the sky on purpose, and of course with Aegon's worst fears about Aemon coming true in that moment, it's going to be very interesting to see how the brothers can reconcile going forward, or if they can at all. And looking at this scene, it almost looks like Aemon is actually threatening Aegon to maybe stay quiet about the events of Rook's Rest. So it looks like we could see the Green faction continue to fall deeper and deeper into disarray, as Alicent's influence over her children continues to wane more and more each episode. And while Otto Hightower is certainly not without his faults, it does seem like in his absence the Greens are steadily falling deeper and deeper into decline. And just speaking as a pure fan of Rhys Ifans in the role of Otto Hightower, I feel like the show is missing a certain something without him on screen. He is, after all, one of the best actors on the show. But next, we hear Rhaenyra stating that her people must see her as a ruler, and that the symbol of authority are the shield and the sword, as we see Rhaenyra herself taking up arms. And one thing we have seen in the last 2 episodes is Rhaenyra studying up the histories of House Targaryen, and in particular, the history of Visenya, who of course was not only the wife of Aegon the Conqueror, but was also the first rider of Vhagar, and the first warrior to ever wield the Valyrian steel sword, Dark Sister, the sword that Daemon Targaryen currently wields. So if nothing else, it looks like Rhaenyra is looking to take a page out of Visenya's playbook, in terms of having a more active and hands-on approach to the war, as we see her depart Dragonstone on her dragon Syrax. Just as we hear Jace state that they will never match the forces of the Greens without the help of Daemon, followed by Rhaenyra stating that she must now proceed as though she stands alone, with Rhaenyra also potentially speaking to Daemon, stating that it is her fault that he has forgotten to fear her. So it seems like the Greens are not the only ones slipping deeper and deeper into disarray, as the rift between Daemon and Rhaenyra seemingly grows wider and wider. Especially now with Daemon declaring his intentions to raise an army of rivermen to press his claim and not Rhaenyra's. And although I'm not the biggest fan of Daemon's story arc in Season 2 so far, and where the writers have chosen to take his character, it should, at the very least, still be interesting to see how this rift between Daemon and Rhaenyra eventually gets solved, or if it does at all. And during Rhaenyra's dialogue, we get a glimpse at some very interesting scenes, one of which being a shot of Rhaena, and a shot of the Lannister army on the move. In Episode 5, once Aemon did ascend to Prince Regent, one of his first acts was to find out the status of his rivermen and the rest of the Green forces, with Tywin Lannister stating that his brother has gathered a great host. And since we know that another big battle will be happening in Season 2, I get the feeling they could potentially be moving up the Battle of the Red Fork and having that be the second big battle, with them saving the Battle of the Gullet for Season 3. The show has made a clear point to set up the fact that the Lannister army is on the move, and seeing that the Lannister army does in fact have an engagement during the Battle of the Red Fork, I get the feeling that could potentially be the second big battle of Season 2. And with it, hopefully the introduction of Pate the Longleaf, a squire that will give even Pod a run for his money. But next, the trailer ends with a glimpse of the riot that is going to be breaking out in King's Landing, most likely due to the dire circumstances that the small folk are living under, and the food shortage reaching an all-time high. Followed by a very interesting shot of Rhaenyra and Jace down in the Dragon Mount, with sea smoke seemingly being brought before them, with a character most likely attempting to claim the dragon, which looks to be an unsuccessful attempt if all of the people running out of the Dragon Mount behind Rhaenyra are any indication. So I really can't wait to see the dragonseed storyline unfold on the show. I feel like it's been one of the most anticipated plot lines in Season 2, and it looks like we are definitely going to get at least the start of it in Episode 6. But one thing I must admit, it is a bit of a bummer that there are only 3 episodes left. It feels like the season is only just now starting to get good, and here we are getting closer and closer to the end. So if nothing else, I really hope that Season 3 and Season 4 both return to the 10-episode format at the least. But definitely leave your thoughts and comments down below. How do you think the Dragonseed storyline will play out on the show? And don't forget to leave a like on your way out, and consider subscribing to stay up to date on all of our upcoming content. And as always, I want to give a big thank you to everybody out there for watching, and we will see you on the next one.
It's never been attempted before. To claim a dragon, you must also be prepared to die.
My uncle is a challenge I welcome, if he dares face me.
You have the arrogance of youth. Have the indignities of your childhood not yet sufficiently been avenged?